everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be making Nutella stuffed cookies today. I saw them on the internet recently and thought I'd give them a go. I made them yesterday for my family and they were gone in about 10 minutes flat, so I thought I'd make them for you today. They're really simple. There's nothing really that can go wrong, so without further ado, let's get started. The ingredients you're going to need are 140 grams of plain flour, 50 grams of caster sugar, 90 grams of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, a large egg, 40 grams of cocoa powder, half a teaspoon of baking powder, 115 grams of unsalted butter and 12 teaspoons of Nutella. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to spoon some Nutella onto a baking tray, which then we're going to freeze for half an hour. The reason we do this is so that when we pop it inside the cookie dough, it doesn't all spew out in the oven. It retains some of its shape, so it stays inside nicely. So we're going to just spoon 12 spoonfuls onto the tray, roughly about that size. Don't worry about how far apart you place them. Obviously they're not going to spread anywhere. So if you want to make these cookies for anyone that's got nut allergies, you can obviously use, there's a dairy milk spread, you could try a salted caramel spread. As long as you freeze the droplets before you stuff them in the cookie, then you can pretty much do any of those spreads from the aisle. Biscoff would be delicious as well. So we're just going to pop these in the freezer for half an hour. While they're freezing, we can go ahead and make the cookie dough. So to make the cookie dough, it's actually really straightforward. We're going to add the sugar and the butter together in the mixing bowl, and we're going to beat them until they're combined. We're not looking for light and fluffy here like a cake. We just want it until they're combined. So the caster sugar, the brown sugar, and the butter. So we're going to just pop that on our mixer. Because this is such a small amount of ingredient, you'll find that a lot of it gets stuck to the side of the bowl. So just give it a scrape down and then give it another mix. Mix together, we're going to add the egg and the vanilla. I like to crack my egg into a bowl and add the vanilla, give it a whisker and then gradually add it to the sugar. And a teaspoon of vanilla. And we're just going to mix that together. Now with my mixer on, I'm just going to add that into the bowl. You'll find again that you'll need to scrape down your bowl to make sure everything's incorporated. So now we're going to add all our dry ingredients in. The cocoa powder, your baking soda and your flour. That can all just go in together. Now the trick with cookies is you don't overbeat them. Once everything is combined, you stop beating. We don't need to build up the gluten in the cookies, so we are literally just beating until combined, and then we stop. Okay, so this is the consistency that you're looking for in your dough. As you can see, it just needs a tiny bit more of a mix, but I like to do that last bit by hand. With this dough, we want to roll out 24 little balls, and obviously this is still quite a sloppy dough. So we're going to put this in the fridge for about 15 minutes, just to let it harden up a bit so it's a lot easier for us to handle. So now the cookie dough is hardened in the fridge, we're going to make 24 balls. You might have a bit left over, but if you have, great. If not, this should make 24 small balls. I've actually got this spoon which was free from a cereal box, but it just seems to grab up the right amount. So we're going to grab up, which I would say, you know, it's like a truffle sized ball, and we're going to make 24 of those. So while I'm doing this, my youngest son is actually off school today, and he is doing my close-up shots for me, and he's asked me to give him a shout out. So Jaden Byrne, this is your shout out. He has his own YouTube channel if you want to subscribe, which he's told me not to tell you about. Okay, so now we've got 24 balls of cookie dough. I've got the Nutella out of the freezer, and it shouldn't leave an impression when you press that down. While you're doing this stage, you can go ahead and preheat your oven to 180 degrees C, which is roughly around 350 degrees Fahrenheit. We're now going to take one of the balls and slightly flatten it in our hand. Take one of the Nutella, pop that in the middle, and then you're going to take your other ball, pop it on top, flatten it out, bring the sides together, and then you're just going to roll it into a ball. And that's one of your cookies. We're then going to place it onto our baking tray. They do spread quite a lot, so you're going to want to leave a good 1.5 inches, 2 inches between each one. So you're going to go ahead and do that with all of the cookies. So I've actually put all these on one sheet. They probably will join together, but I'm not too worried about that. My kids aren't too worried about that. They'll still get eaten the same way. We're going to cook these for about 10 to 12 minutes until they should come out quite domed. And then we're going to stick them on a cooling rack for 10 minutes. They are delicious served warm with a glass of milk, or you can leave them to be cold and they'll still have that gorgeous runny Nutella in the centre. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these in the oven. So there are your finished cookies. Absolutely delicious. Now we're going to have to put them on a cooling rack, but they're incredibly soft, so you've got to be really, really careful.